Each week, we like to break down the stories from the three levels of government with CTV's political commentator, Scott Reed, and he joins us live now in the studio. Scott, hope you had a nice Family Day weekend. Welcome.
I did. I spent it in Montreal,
okay.
Boys hockey tournament. Went to see the Habs.
Yes.
Go Habs go. I'm a
Good
big
stuff.
Habs fan, so it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Okay, so let's get down to the reality of what we're here to talk about, of course. That is government at all three levels. The confidence supply agreement at the federal level. A lot of talk, a lot of debate about that, or whether the NDP might want to sort of exit at some point.
So there's a big, bold deadline bearing down on the Liberals. By March 1st, they're supposed to introduce legislation, create some kind of framework for pharmacare. Liberals have been sort of dragging their heels, NDP getting increasingly annoyed. They actually took one of the most senior officials of the NDP, moved her into a new job, which is strictly focused on negotiating this accord. And it's a really interesting dilemma. A lot of New Democrats are saying, actually, we want to walk away from them. We don't want to be married to the Liberals. They're down in the polls. Why should we be tied to them as their junior partner? Others are saying, no, we want to get pharmacare done. A lot of Liberals are saying, you know, as long as we're tied to this thing, yes, we survive as a government, but on the other hand, we're stuck with basically an NDP agenda. And is that the place we want to be if we need to woo back some middle-class voters? So a lot of interesting strategic decisions to be made. And we're going to probably find out this week whether or not they're going to go forward with it. What if they bail on it?
That was going to be the follow-up,
I mean, so that's the interesting thing, because if they bail on it, then the Liberals have to live like a normal minority government. They have to find some votes for their budget in the spring, and the prospect of an election looms even larger. So it's high drama, and it's going to be really interesting. And I personally think they'll probably patch together an agreement, stick forward to 2025. But if I was advising the Prime Minister, I would say, cut this thing down, be bold, take a risk.
Really? Okay.
I just think being stuck with that agenda, big programmatic spending and stuff, I don't think that's going to help them compete against Polyev. So we'll see.
Interesting.
Easy for me to say. I'm sitting on a couch.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and on the provincial level, a big day at Queen's Park. MPPs go back to the legislature, and there is some legislation that's going to be undone, you know, the dissolution of Peel, Bill 124, but also things that are part of the Get It Done Act. They're also moving ahead.
Let's have fun with words. They're introducing the Get It Done Act, an omnibus bill, right, trying to like recapture momentum and the narrative and say, look, you know, we're going to cut your license fees for driver's license. We're going to, you know, make certain that there can never be tolls on any highway, except, of course, the one where there are tolls that really jack you. And they're calling it the Get It Done Act. And it just begs parody, because most of their agenda is going to be get it undone as they get rid of the bill to, you know, break up Peel Region, as they pull back on Bill 124.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think the most interesting thing, two things. One, I'll go policy wonk on you. There is a crisis happening with colleges and universities in the province. What are they going to have to say? There's some expectation they're going to come forward maybe with a package, recommendations, framework, something. But universities are really underwater financially. So what are they going to do about that? And then politically, Bonnie Crombie isn't in the legislature, doesn't have a seat, but this is going to be her first session as Liberal leader. Polls are ticking up for her. She's going to put the boots to Ford. How's that going to go? She looks like she lives in Ford's head. Is he going to be playing to her life? It's going to be interesting to watch. So keep your eye on that dynamic.
And we'll watch that. And just if you can kind of briefly talk about City Hall now, the budget passed last week. Kind of what's next for Mayor Chow as she moves ahead now?
Well, I think that's really interesting. So her whole political agenda, really, since getting elected, has more or less been organized around getting this budget, raising taxes, trying to focus on service improvement, and now that's done. So what's she going to do?
Next,
And I think the interesting question is she going to go to war with either the federal Liberals or the provincial Conservatives? She's been playing kind of kissy face with Doug Ford, right?
Definitely has.
They're all best pals.
Right.
So does she train her fire on the less popular federal Liberals? She rolled them for a lot of money on refugees. Is she going to try to go back to that well and get more money? What's her focus going to be? I think that's going to be really, really interesting to watch. And to be honest with you, there aren't a heck of a lot of clues.
That's true, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll wait with bated breath on that one. CTV's political commentator, Scott Reed, always appreciate your time and your insight. Have a great day.
We will see you later.
See you next week.
Guys.
Yeah. All right.
Juveria Zahir is our Champions Wildcard champion. $100,000, and she's headed to the Tournament of Champions.
That is Whitby psychiatrist Javeria Zahir, the latest hometown contestant, making waves and impressing a lot of people on Jeopardy. Her initial appearance wowed viewers so much she got a second chance and now is set to join Jeopardy's Tournament of Champions. But before that, the good doctor joins us here on CP24 Breakfast. Congratulations on what you've accomplished so far. I know you've already been there. You know the outcome. Your episode airs next week. But let's talk about just your Jeopardy experience. It didn't necessarily get off to the best start when you first played, but how do you attribute the success you've had more recently?
Yeah, I think when I was on Jeopardy the first time last May, I was terrified. I had no idea what I knew, what I didn't. I was so focused on like gaining knowledge and not looking dumb that I didn't really think about like how to stay calm or what my strategy would be. And getting a second chance has been such a gift. And when you get a second chance, you just want to have fun. You don't worry about making mistakes. You just want to be brave and leave it all out there, and it's been an extraordinary adventure for sure.
I wonder how much of your psychiatry training helped you sort of get your mindset into the better place the second time around.
Yeah, I work in a psychiatric emergency department, so we have a great team. We're always busy. We need to stay calm. We need to keep our sense of humor and trying to channel that version of myself rather than the version that is really scared and wants to sort of fall through the floor and disappear. The person who's confident and can have fun and stay calm. I think staying calm is such a huge piece of this.
No kidding. So what's it like when you're up there on the stage? Ken Jennings is there. Of course, I know how much you admire Alex Trebek, of course, but what's that experience like under the lights with the clicker in your hand and seeing the answers come up? Could you describe what's going through your mind and what you're feeling in those moments?
So it's definitely surreal because I think all of us have watched since we were kids, and to be standing up there, I joked it's almost like being in the most immersive, most expensive escape room of your life. Like it's a little bit artificial, but the more I've been there, I think I've been there now for 3 tournaments in 2.5 months, you start to get more comfortable and it starts to feel like home a little bit, and that's a great feeling.
Yeah, I bet that helps to sort of feel more comfortable in your surroundings. And what does it mean to you, the fact that you're now in the Tournament of Champions? I mean, I assume no one goes to Jeopardy thinking, I can't win. You've got to go in with the mindset that I can win. Now you're in the Tournament of Champions. Like, just how significant is that?
I never, after I lost my first game, this wasn't even in the first, 3 novels of a series of my dreams. I just wanted to be able to go back and win one game. And then you win one game and you think maybe I can win one tournament. And then you win a second tournament and now you're here. And, Ken Jennings said recently that there are more people who have been to space than have been to the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions. So you just realize what a great gift it is. And thinking about other Canadians like Ray Lalonde and Mateo Roach, just to be in the same conversation as those incredible people has been such a joy.
Yeah, I bet it has. And what about your reaction, perhaps either A, amongst the people you work with at CAMH, or B, just amongst your neighbors in Whitby? What's that been like? Because Jeopardy is one of the most watched shows on television.
You know that feeling when you're little and you see your teacher at the mall and you're like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you doing this other thing? I feel like there's been a lot of that, a lot of surprise, but so much joy and excitement. You always worry about disappointing people, whether it's your kids or your neighbors or your colleagues. But what I've found is that people are so unfailingly supportive. And every time someone tells me that they watch, often it's their parents or my parents are watching or my grandparents are watching or my kids are watching. It is such a gift, and it's so humbling to think that people are taking the time to be with you on your journey.
And what's your strategy been like? I mean, I understand that you did just like epic reading to kind of like brush up on so many things, but how did you figure out what you thought you should read up on? Because Jeopardy can really span everything.
Yeah, I know. I think sometimes you want to focus on things you really like. Like I really like American history. I really like movies. I really like medicine. But you have to read about things you don't like. So I learned a lot about like fighter jets and, cars and things I don't know that much about. So trying to be more balanced, looking at old questions, playing games online, all of that stuff has been really helpful for sure.
And just really quickly before I let you go, tell me about that clicker. How challenging is it to buzz in before the rest of your contestants?
So the clicker is a blessing and a curse. If you buzz in too early, you get locked out for a quarter second. That's why you see people mashing away on the buzzer. If you're a fraction too late, someone's going to beat you. So I like to think of it as kind of a Zen state. I'm not athletic, but I think of it like swinging a baseball bat. Don't think too much and just find your rhythm.
Okay, well, it seems you found your rhythm indeed. Javeria Zahir, good luck. Can't wait to see what happens with you on the Tournament of Champions, your episode, I believe, set to air February 29th. Is that right? At least the first one?
That's exactly right. The tournament starts on Friday, and my episode is on Thursday, the 29th.
We'll look forward to it, indeed. I know you know the outcome, but I'll say good luck anyway. Thanks for your time this morning. Good to chat with you.
you scared to find it? And do you wanna take my broken heart? Are you scared to start? Let's lay in the dead grass, stare at the stars. Run away, you live out of cars and bars. Let's just leave here, 'cause there's nothing left.
All right, I don't think there's much fear here. Singer Michael Marchese is a star on the rise, becoming a bona fide TikTok star, making moves into the big stage with his first solo song, even hitting the Billboard Hot 100. We're listening to it right now, Scared to Start. Welcome, Michael Marchese, to CP24 Breakfast and Toronto. Good to meet you. Good to have you here.
Thank you guys for having me.
So, yeah, how do you feel? You seem like such a humble and calm and collected guy, but you're making you move up the Billboard Hot 100. I mean, what does that feel like right now?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to even take in for me. Like, I posted this song to TikTok just a few months ago and didn't really think anything of it. And yeah, now the song is on charts that I had never in a million years would ever have dreamed that it would be on. So it's been a wild ride for sure.
I can imagine. And Michael, it seems to be so much the formula these days, that turning to social media, posting your music on social, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, etc. And then you kind of maybe get picked up from there, you get launched, and your song has been streamed thousands and thousands and thousands of times. It kind of what was it like watching those views start ticking up and you realize, hey, people seem to like this?
Yeah, it was, again, just kind of hard to like believe. Like, even my friends were like, hey, like this song, like it's getting like millions and millions of plays on Spotify, and I was like, yeah, like, it's hard. It's just like numbers on a screen.
Did you keep checking? Like, did you keep refreshing?
Oh yeah, I definitely kept checking, but at some point it's just like, this is overwhelming. I need to stop looking at the numbers and just kind of enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, what a ride it is. And so let's talk about your music, Michael, because for some people watching this morning, this may be the first time they've ever heard of you and the first time they've heard some of your music, Scared to Start. How would you describe your sound and your sort of what you want to be thought of as musically?
Yeah, so it's like kind of like folky, like Americana, I would describe it as, but really inspired by like artists like John Prine and like storytelling. I've always been really into like just like simple acoustic guitars and kind of like songs that tell a story and have like a narrative to them.
You've got a really great sound. I have to admit, I started listening to music a couple of days ago when I found out I was doing the interview, and just went to Apple Music and started playing it. And it's easy to listen to, but like you said, there are nice stories there as well. So where do you draw the stories from?
Yeah, I think it just comes from a lot of different places, but mainly I just try to write about like what's, directly around me, a lot about like I'm growing up in Ohio and, just kind of the experiences that I've had there.
And what are your impressions of this? Is your first time to Toronto?
First time.
Well, I mean, what do you think? I know you've probably been sort of shifted around from thing to thing here, but what do you feel about Toronto so far?
It's a lot bigger than I thought, first of all. But yeah, I've had so much fun. I've only been here, like 36 hours, but I've had so much fun. It's been great. We're just like walking around the city, and we've had amazing food, and I can't wait to be back to like play like a real show.
And that's kind of where my question is leading. I know you don't have any sort of tour dates planned right now here, but you think when you do tour, Toronto will be a place you'll hit?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think just like the response here, like I've gotten so many like awesome DMs and messages and emails from people here that seem like they want a show, and we're playing so many other cities that Toronto definitely seems like it's got to be high on the list for us to come back and play.
And Michael, just really quickly before I let you go, you're a solo artist now, but you came from a band background. What's it like sort of coming from a band with a name versus Michael Marchese? Like it's you on the headline.
It definitely is. I'm still getting used to it. I'm not like one that is, great in the spotlight or whatever. So it's definitely taking some getting used to, like putting myself in more vulnerable positions. But I think it's going to be fun. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, well, listen, it was fun to talk to you today. Fun to listen to your music as well. Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope to see you back here in Toronto when you're on a tour. And come back to CP24 Breakfast. We'll chat again.
I barely recognized you. Good to see you. Come. We're developing this whole area from the ground up.
That's amazing.
Kingdom come.
Good morning, homosexuals. I am taking donations.
Jesus Christ. How do you feel about overdevelopment in this city?
I don't think I like it.
Then donate.
I'm just trying to collect money.
Alexandra Billings, so funny. Okay, well, this movie is it about a young man from Egypt who's forced to move to Toronto to live with his father after the death of his mother. And while discovering the city, he learns so much more about himself than he would realize after meeting Malibu, a trans woman and owner of a shop. And yeah, he decides decides to try drag as well. That is the premise of Queen Tut. And joining us live now are the stars of the show, Ryan, Ali, and Selena Vile. Welcome to CP24 Breakfast this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this film is, we were talking during the break, it's so Toronto and it's beautifully shot and it's just a story about diversity but also immigration and about our values and community. Ryan, you said during, when the film kind of premiered, this was like your first feature role and a dream role it is. Why was it such a dream role for you?
Well, I mean, listen, even just to get to be a lead in a feature film, in and of itself, I mean, I never thought I would get to this point in my career. I went to school for engineering.
Wow,
I dropped out to pursue acting full time, and there I am, not only the lead of a feature, but this feature. Very ambitious, such a big cast, and like you said, we were shooting all over Toronto, so it was really, really special, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And your character is just so, I don't know, there's something peaceful and deep about him as he kind of goes over his mother's past with her designs in fashion and how that connects to the drag world. So let's bring in you, Selena. I love your name in this film. It's Habibtees.
Habibtees,
Habibtees. You claim to be the only Middle Eastern drag queen in Toronto.
That's right.
Which is so funny. Very accurate. But I love it because you say you're a bearded Lebanese drag queen who grew up in an Antiochian Orthodox church.
Yes.
And now you're doing this film about, a Coptic Orthodox queer boy discovering himself. So it's almost like full circle.
It's absolutely surreal because growing up, there were even so few queer movies to watch, but to see one with Middle Easterners in the lead and being somebody who still kind of hides my identity from my family. Hi, everybody. But yeah, it's so special. I really hope that young Middle Eastern kids who are queer will see this movie and be able to identify themselves in the film as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this moment when you get to meet some of Malibu's queer friends in the film, and they're like, let's get this moment on photo, and you suddenly withdraw, and you're like, oh, I can't. And, you think that all the drag queens are going to be like, we hate you, what are you talking about? But there's a sweet moment where Malibu, played by Alexandra Billings, just kind of gives you a soft tap on the shoulder and says, hey, I get it. It's okay because you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, and honestly, that was actually an Alexandra Billings gift, to be honest with you. The scene, the way it was written initially, was a little bit more of that, the shade that we can see within the gay community and the queer community.
Right.
But Alexandra felt like that wouldn't be appropriate in this moment. The community is all about inclusion and love and kind of allowing someone to figure it out as they go versus kind of shunning them or shaming them for that. So I think that was a big thing.
It was a really special moment for me. That scene, filming it and watching it gets me every time because I had that moment because I'm 43. I had this moment when I moved to Toronto in 2002. And so to have this young queer Egyptian person in front of me and to be like, it's okay, Habibi. When I said that line, I was just like,
wow.
it got
that was
me.
very, very powerful. So talk about, your, I know you have such a comedy background, you do podcasts and everything. And I can't, first of all, I can't believe you're 43 because even with the makeup on, I can tell your skin is flawless. But what was your journey like? And I know you mentioned just now with your family, some of them not knowing, and this movie deals with a lot of that religious aspect. So what's it like, growing up and what's it like now?
It's like having a double life.
Okay.
So it's very much I'm very comfortable in Toronto. My family's in Ottawa. So it's very much I separated myself from that life.
Yeah.
And here I'm able to be free and live my life as loudly and proudly as I'd like to. But whenever I go home, even today, I turn it off.
Wow.
It's something that it's a lot of work, and part of this movie is part of the work is putting us out there in the media so people are exposed to it. So hopefully minds change as time goes on.
Yeah.
And it gets easier for the next generation.
For sure. That is so important. And just to normalize it and be like, hey, we all deserve to be free in who we are.
Yeah.
A beautiful film. Ryan, Selena, thank you so much for joining us. This film is out tomorrow in select theaters as well as the Cineplex Yonge and Dundas. So make sure to catch Queen Tut. Thank you so much, Ryan and Selena. Good luck to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Congrats.